won't have mental illness anymore. Change you genetically so you don't have mental illness. It's one of the fastest growing things in technology today. It's genetic medicine for mental illness.
Mhm. Well, this is a topic that I think is very significant for what's coming, and I'm sure you discussed it in your book, Exoconscious Humans. Artificial intelligence. I mean, how does artificial intelligence constitute a kind of crisis or opportunity for exoconscious humans?
I think artificial intelligence is great. I mean, you want to make a big database and you want to run an algorithm. Sure, that's a useful thing to have. So, it's this whole thing that we're living with of, AI is going to bring us equity and everybody's going to be equal when it's the absolute opposite. Everybody's not going to be equal. There's going to be so many shenanigans that that's what AI is for shenanigans. My advice to people today that if they're feeling like they're afraid, if they're getting overwhelmed, if all of these prophetic announcements are coming through, many of which are propaganda, that they just simply need to move. They need to go for a walk. They need to go cook. They need to go take care of their kids. They need to get their body moving and move themselves through this self-inflicted trauma. Because what does AI want us to do? They want us to sit in front of our telephone and be frozen in front of your phone, flipping from one thing to the next. And that's how they capture you. And that's how they just re-traumatize you again and again and again. And then we come to issues like frequency. So there was a program in Purdue University in Indiana called the Sentient World Simulation, SWS, and it's been around for a while. They were making avatars of individuals, and probably by now they have an avatar of everyone in the world. So when COVID came, what did everyone in the world do? They gave the pharmaceutical industry their DNA. They had that thing stuck up their nose, okay? And they gave their pharmaceutical world their DNA. So now you have another overlay of Sentient World Simulation where we not only have your avatar of who you are, things that we can scrape off the computer about who you are. Now we have your actual DNA. So now we have your frequency. And now that we have your frequency, we can beam trauma to you via that frequency and only put frequency into Michael Sala's DNA or Rebecca Hardcastle Wright's DNA. We can selectively traumatize. And this is social engineering combined with genetic engineering. So, the navigation of what we're going to be moving through to keep ourselves as healthy, vital humans. That's one of the missions of the Institute for Exoconsciousness and Exoconscious Humans, is how we as a community can move through this and actually find the opportunities. Because one thing you need to realize, whether it's AI or whether it's a computer or whether it's an aircraft, they break. Things go wrong and they break. And it's up to us to figure out how we want to maneuver with that. How much, I've got a cell phone. That's what I'm willing to accept and make the choices from there.
So how do you feel about the future? Do you feel optimistic? Do you feel pessimistic? What do you think is going to happen as we move increasingly into this non-human world that you wrote about in your last book?
I'm increasingly optimistic, but it's one of the most important aspects of exoconsciousness is that we co-create with extraterrestrials, multidimensionals, and spiritual beings. So some people come into our group and they've they've not had contact with an ET. They've had contact with Jesus, or they've had contact with Buddha. So they've had an overwhelming initiation of a spiritual experience. So it's always important for us to say that there's a commonality there in terms of contact, in terms of knowledge, in terms of what they're able to access in terms of these different layers of reality. So we as exoconscious humans believe that we're not alone in this, that we as humans, always coming down to the humans. So humans hold the primary responsibility for moving humanity through this times into the future, into creating our future. But that we are going to be co-creating that future with access to extraterrestrials, multidimensionals, and spiritual beings who are also participating in our reality, who are also here with us, and we are co-creating our innovations and inventions and opportunities with them. I spent 6 years working with Dr. Mitchell on 0 point energy, like trying to launch 0 point energy initiatives in the United States and find funding for it. And we were doing it a three-pronged approach, very holistically. We were working on 0 point energy. We were working on consciousness as connected to 0 point energy. And we were working with extraterrestrial presence. So I spent about 6 years working with him and his team of international scientists on that. And then when he passed away, we also, I was part of the WikiLeaks. Our meetings with Podesta were also included in the WikiLeaks, so people can look that up. So after he passed away, I came back here to Phoenix, and with the Institute for Exoconsciousness, I started working with people like Susan Manwich, who had also been working with 0 point energy over Unity devices, trying to bring those into the public arena, into the public domain. So my feeling is that if we exercise and support the innate exoconscious ability to co-create within our community, that we'll be the ones that will bring forth very, very significant, not the only people certainly, but we will be a community that brings forth incredible innovations and inventions during this time, because we understand consciousness and we understand the presence of these beings around us and how that links to technologies that we will bring forward, which will be very different.
Okay, all very important. So for people that want to dig deeper or learn more about this, where would you recommend they go, Rebecca? Why don't you tell them about your website,
Okay.
about your courses, books?
So my website is exoconsciousness.com, and that really has pathways to explore all aspects that we've talked about today. Books that I've written, the Exoconscious Coaching, the Institute for Exoconsciousness, and we've got some very, very exciting things coming up in the next few months. Maybe we can talk about that when we get that online, Michael. But yeah, my personal commitment is to bring these exoconscious inventions forward and these innovations, and find a community strong enough to support it and willing to support it. Because I think this is the future that we're creating.
Nanu Nanu.